shift our focus now to the big political story this evening. To quote Omar Abdullah, from Kashmir to Kanyakumari, everyone had gathered at Patna today. And by everyone, I mean 17 political parties who are aiming to fight the 2024 election together to bring down the BJP. Now, general elections are just 9 months away, and this is the first sincere effort to cobble together a Gathbandhan. This time, the Sutradhar is Bihar's Chief Minister Nitish Kumar, who had gone across the country inviting all non-BJP parties to this meet. Today, leaders from 17 parties, including Rahul Gandhi, Mamata Banerjee, M.K. Stalin, Uddhav Thackeray, Sharad Pawar, Arvind Kejriwal, all showed up. Of course, it wasn't all sugar and honey, given that there are regional rivalries and personal ambitions at play as well. The idea is to put one joint opposition candidate against the BJP in as many seats as possible in 2024. Now, this will be an uphill task given that the Congress is at loggerheads with the TMC in Bengal, with the left in Kerala, the AAP in Delhi, and in 2017 the tie-up with the Samajwadi Party in Uttar Pradesh had been nothing short of disastrous. But at the joint press conference, the leaders present put up a united front, saying that they will fight the BJP unitedly in 2024. Listen in to who said what.
एक साथ चलने की सहमति हुई है और उसके बाद अगली मीटिंग कुछ ही दिनों के बाद सब पार्टियों की एक और की जाएगी।
ये एक प्रोसेस है, ऑपोजिशन यूनिटी की एक प्रोसेस है और ये बहुत गहरी तरीके से आगे बढ़ने जा रही है।
बीजेपी का तानाशाही जो गवर्नमेंट जो डिक्टेटरशिप चला रहा है, हम लोगों ने एक साथ में मिलके वो काला कानून का खिलाफ में हम लोग लड़ाई करेंगे।
पूरी तरह से फिट हो गए हैं, आप बढ़िया से फिट कर दे रहा है नरेंद्र मोदी भाजपा को।
Now, the meeting lasted 4 hours and ended with the leaders agreeing to meet again in Shimla. That will be round 2. Striking a discordant note, though, today was Arvind Kejriwal, who said if the Congress doesn't commit to backing the Aam Aadmi Party in the Rajya Sabha over the Delhi ordinance, then the Gathbandhan should count them out. In fact, AAP went as far as to say that the Congress isn't a team player. Just for the record, all parties except the Congress have committed to opposing the Delhi ordinance in the Rajya Sabha. Interestingly, the BSP and the BRS were no-shows today, and the AIMIM said they weren't invited. The BRS, in fact, trained its guns at the Congress party for its non-committal stand on the ordinance. Listen in.
कि कांग्रेस पार्टी जब खुद का कुछ नहीं कर पाती है तो दूसरे लोगों पे आरोप लगा के अपना कुछ बनाना चाहती है, ये नामुमकिन है क्योंकि कांग्रेस हैज बीन अ डिजास्टर फॉर दिस नेशन. दे हैव बीन इन फैक्ट द रूट कॉज फॉर एवरी मैलेज दैट प्लेग्स इंडिया टुडे.
नहीं, देखिए, हमको तो उसमें बुलाया नहीं गया है. इसलिए नहीं बुलाया गया है क्योंकि नंबर 1 बात यह है कि हम सच्चाई को बयान कर देंगे. दूसरी बात यह है कि उस मीटिंग में शिवसेना है. शिवसेना सेकुलर हो गई है क्या? उस मीटिंग में दिल्ली के मुख्यमंत्री हैं, उनकी पार्टी ने तो आर्टिकल 370 के निकालने को, जो मेरी नजर में कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनल ब्रीच था, उसका सपोर्ट किया बीजेपी को. आप अगर ये एजेंडा आपका है कि हम सिर्फ मोदी को हराएंगे या बीजेपी को हराएंगे, तो फिर आपका एजेंडा क्या है बताइए. चलिए.
Now, as expected, the BJP was watching the Patna meet closely today. Leading the attack was the Home Minister of the country, Amit Shah, who is in Jammu today. He called the meeting a photo opportunity and said that the Prime Minister for 2024 has already been decided. Listen in.
पटना में एक फोटो सेशन चल रहा है. सारे विपक्ष के नेता एक मंच पर इकट्ठा हो रहे हैं और संदेश देना चाहते हैं कि हम भारतीय जनता पार्टी को, एनडीए को और मोदी जी को चैलेंज करेंगे. मैं सारे विपक्ष के नेताओं को एक कहना चाहता हूं, कितने भी हाथ मिला दो, आपकी एकता कभी संभव नहीं है, और हो भी गई तो कितने भी इकट्ठा होकर जनता के सामने आ जाइए। 2024 में 300 से ज्यादा सीटों के साथ नरेंद्र मोदी जी का प्रधानमंत्री बनना तय है।
And it is said that wolves hunt in packs. A political pack met in Patna. It is ironical that the Congress leadership at the center shakes hands with Mamata Bandyopadhyay, the TMC leadership whose hands are sullied by the blood of Congress workers in the state of West Bengal.
Now, let's be clear about one thing. It's not just ideology bringing the opposition together. For some, it's also a question of their survival. Just take a look at the numbers as they stand after the 2019 elections. The 17 parties that are looking to forge an alliance this time together in 2019, if you put the numbers together, had 153 seats. 153, the 17 parties. The BJP on its own had 303 seats. If you look at the vote share, the Bharatiya Janata Party had 37.4% of the vote share in the 2019 Lok Sabha elections, and the NDA as a whole, which is the BJP plus allies, had nearly 45% of the vote share, which is almost half of the total vote share. So the BJP, by all means, is a formidable opponent, but this isn't exactly a David versus Goliath battle either. The opposition will look at the numbers and say it can be done. Quickly going across for a chat with my guest this evening, we have R.S. Pathania, leader of the BJP, joining us on the broadcast. Swati Malik, spokesperson of the Congress party, with us on the show as well. Sanjay Kapoor is a senior journalist. Good to have you on the show. And Saket Gokhale, spokesperson of the TMC. Swati Malik, you know, the attempt is serious. The attempt is sincere. And the attempt today is the first ahead of the 2024 elections. I give all of that to you, but help me understand how this alliance will work going forward, given that on day one, you've had the Aam Aadmi Party walking out saying if the Congress doesn't support us when it comes to the ordinance in the Rajya Sabha, we will walk out of this alliance. So if you have alliance partners who are coming to you with narrow motives, how do you expect this alliance to last?
Shreya, the answer to your question lies in the question itself. Day one. Today was the first day that the parties met. Of course, everybody is going to have a difference of opinion. There are going to be differences, local differences between the parties, or else all of them would have been in one party. Though we cannot deny the fact that there are differences. Today was day one. Mr. Kejriwal has aired his grievance with Congress. Congress has listened to it. And please let me remind you, it's not like Congress has refused to support the ordinance, to support Aam Aadmi Party in the Rajya Sabha. 20th May, when the ordinance was issued, Dr. Singhvi was one of the first ones to condemn it, to call it against the judgment of the Supreme Court, right? So it's not like Congress has not condemned it. Of course, we have condemned it, but this whole, I don't want to, go after the Aam Aadmi Party right now because it's a regional issue, it's a state issue for them. Here, the parties have gotten together for a larger issue, for the whole purpose of what Mr. Modi read out of a teleprompter. I'm sure you also heard the essay he read out on democracy. While he didn't answer the question the journalist asked, but he read out an essay of the teleprompter. That's exactly what the parties have gotten together for, to save the democracy of this country. We all know the situation we are in. We all know the condition of the country right now where, EDs, I don't want to go into be repetitive about the misuse of power and agencies by the BJP. So here we've all gotten together for a common purpose, for a larger picture, a picture which is larger than all of us, a picture which is to save our country, a picture which is to save the democracy of this country. So I'm sure the parties, the senior leaders of Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress Party will find a way, and I'm sure there will be some sort of an understanding, for lack of better words, but some sort of an understanding arrived at between the parties to carry forward the bigger fight of 2024.
Okay. Okay, I give it to you. It is only day one, and the second meeting is in Shimla, and maybe the scope of this alliance will increase. Maybe there'll be more partners coming in, but today there were some notable absentees as well. The BSP was missing, the BRS was missing, the AIM was fairly critical as well. Saket Gokhale, come in here. We had the BJP hold a press conference right after that joint press conference by a united opposition. Smriti Irani essentially calling the joint opposition a pack of wolves that hunt together. Politicians will say what politicians will say. They will give sound bites that are attractive. But on a practical level, how is this united opposition going to work on the ground, given the local contradictions and the national ambitions, given regional contradictions and national ambitions? For example, the state that you're representing on the show this evening, West Bengal. In West Bengal, we know there is no love lost between the Congress and the left and the TMC. In this case, going into a general election, you will have to pick a leader. Will leaders, local leaders from the left and the Congress party actually agree to having Mamata Banerjee as their leader leading them into this election?
Hi, Ms. Dhoundial. Look, first of all, let me dispel this entire presumption that, there needs to be a face, or there is going to be a face, or whether it's Mamata Di or whether it's Nitish Ji. These are all speculations by the media and the BJP feeding into them. When the right time comes, when we have a common decision onto something, that will be informed to the media. Number two, referring to Ms. Irani's attack, see, you don't need to be in a pack to hunt a paper tiger. Mr. Modi today has been reduced to a paper tiger. So we don't need to go out and hunt paper tigers. Things are really not that desperate for us, unlike the BJP. Number three, as far as things go, you referred earlier in this debate to the discussion between, AAP raising the issue of the ordinance. Let me tell you for a fact today that out of the 240 minutes that the meeting went for, the ordinance issue was discussed by the Aam Aadmi Party and the Congress only for 10 minutes. There were a million other topics that were discussed. There were a million other conversations that happened. And overall, the talks were about unity. Yes, sure, there might be a couple of issues some parties might want to iron out with each other. But let's face it, even today within the BJP, there is a rift. Within the BJP, we don't know if Mr. Modi, Mr. Shah see eye to eye. Who's Mr. Modi's successor? Is it Yogi? Is it Himanta? Is it Fadnavis? Is it Amit Shah himself? So let's not pretend there are no differences between the BJP and everything is hunky-dory. And in comparison to that, at least here we are driven by consensus, we are driven by agreement. We are all parties that have come together on the same platform to fight the BJP. And unlike the BJP, we don't have this one, his master's voice that dictates everything and everybody follows that. Here, everyone is going to share their opinions. We're going to find a common ground and we're going to put forth a united opposition for 2024.
Okay, but Saket, I wasn't even referring to who the prime ministerial face is going to be for 2020. That is not what I was referring to in my question. I was just referring, to the nitty-gritties of how an election under a united opposition is going to be fought. My understanding is that the attempt will be to have one united... Give me a moment. Give me a moment. Let me complete my question and you can respond to that. My understanding is that the plan is and the hope is that there will be one opposition candidate pitted against a BJP candidate in as many seats as possible. I brought out the reference to the state you're representing on the show, West Bengal, and how this is going to work, given the local dynamics at play, given the fact that the Congress and the left and the TMC are hardly on the same page as far as the state itself is concerned. National to chodo, face kaun hoga, wo to baad mein dekh lenge. How are these local contradictions going to be sorted out?
To answer your question, the Congress party and the CPM are in an alliance in West Bengal. While they contest each other in Kerala, there is no BJP in Kerala. So equations like these are possible, be it in the state of West Bengal, be it elsewhere. Look, the BJP has allied with the PDP in the past. The PDP was at the opposition meeting today. So this whole thing about, your enemies and your friends and there can be no common ground. No. Yeah, you can have common ground. You can have a seat sharing agreement that one opposition candidate can be from any party, and that is something that will be decided in the future meetings. So let's not jump the gun, but examples already exist, like the Mahavikas Aghadi that existed in Maharashtra until the ED were used to topple the government illegally. That was a good example of a bunch of like-minded parties coming together, sharing seats and forming a government. So why is that not possible on the national level?
fair point, fair point. Maybe I should get Mr. R.S. Pathania in here. Mr. R.S. Pathania, you're representing the BJP. How's the BJP looking at what has happened in Patna today? Look, it was day one. There were 17 parties. This looked like a sincere and serious effort. Yes, you had the Aam Aadmi Party striking a discordant note, but no one expected this to be sugar and honey in the first place. How's the BJP looking at it? I mean, the fact is that you've deployed one of your most articulate speakers to, lead the charge from the BJP, which is Smriti Irani and Amit Shah. It seems the BJP is watching clearly. I won't say rattled, but the fact that the BJP is watching this closely.
Shreya, thanks for putting me onto the show. As I was in Jammu, I will start with the epithet of the Union Home Minister also, but he said in Jammu that this is just a photo op, an issueless, directionless, and purposeless.
Why is this just a photo op? Why is this just a photo op?
This is a photo. There are 3 or 4 factors. First of all, this is issueless, this is purposeless, this is agendaless, and this is the confused opposition trying to cobble up a very, very pretty face before the country. You see, 17 political parties, and out of these 17 political, I was seeing the list, 3 political parties have only 1 member parliament. So Congress is the only political party which has just a meager 52 member parliaments in the Lok Sabha, and the aggregate comes out to 153. Even if they all come out to be a gang, I'll use the word, if they gang up, then nothing considerable happens. You see, the most important factor in Indian politics is the Janma. Bharatiya Janata Party is sincerely committed to target number 1, 5 trillion economy. Target number 2, the strategic and defense advancement of India on international forum. Strategy number 3, har ghar ko jal, har ghar ko bijli. So the way we have tried to enthuse with the people, we have tried to catch the aspirations of a young India. This is what the opposition needs to do. They need to have a pan-India agenda. They need to have a pan-India developmental program. They need to engage how they want to engage with the SCs, STs, OBCs. They need to come out of it, except but for abusing, but for indulging into a slang match with the Bharatiya Janata Party over non-issues, absolutely non-issues. The country expects them to come out with. It is very surprising to see that 17 political parties, different manifestos, different ideological moorings, different ideologues, different situations, and they have come on one plate. They have come on one stage just to defeat this. I doubt India as a nation, as a society, and as a state, and as a civilization also, the people of India, the Janmanas of India, will allow such an unholy gang to unfurnish. With due respect, I'll just quote 2 instances. You were quoting Omar Abdullah also. In Jammu and Kashmir also the same thing happened. People's Alliance for Gupkar Declaration, PDP, National Conference, then the People's Conference, and even indirectly Congress also. These all political parties ganged against the Bharatiya Janata Party in a state.
No, but they have not been tested.
Majority state.
But they have not been tested, na? Election ही नहीं करवा रहे आप लोग.
Shreya tested. In DDC elections, they fought elections on a common mandate. And the Bharatiya Janata Party emerged as the biggest political party, the biggest number of seats, the biggest number of vote share in the District Development Council elections in Jammu and Kashmir. Now, second instance, what happened in Uttar Pradesh? The Samajwadi Party and Bahujan Samaj Party. What happened in 2019? Both of them were wiped out. So these unholy alliances have a history of not working on the political horizon of India. This will come down like a pack of cards. I'll use a very responsible epithet to all that. And
you're saying this will. You're saying this will come down like a pack of cards. We'll see. I'm just quickly going to get in Swati Malik. Swati Malik, अरे Mr. Pathania, मुझे भी बोलने दीजिए कुछ, मेरा शो है. Swati, Mr. Pathania makes a point that I wanted to make as well, and I think the point is valid. The agenda of this united opposition cannot be just to bring down Narendra Modi. You will have to go to the people and tell them, what is your vision? Who is your leader? Ultimately, the question of what is your vision and who is your leader will have to be answered. And sooner rather than later, given the fact that elections are just 9 months away. There are way too many ambitions in that group to say, all right, we are stepping back and let Nitish Kumar be the consensus candidate face as far as the opposition is concerned. For example, will Rahul Gandhi be willing to give it up? Will Mr. Kharge be willing to give it up? Will Mamata Banerjee be willing to give it up? Because everyone has prime ministerial ambitions.
Shreya, I agree with you that we have to present a vision to the country right now. As far as leadership is concerned, or who's going to be the Prime Minister, well, that can wait. But yes, vision is more important right now. That is the urgency that we need to show to the country. Why? What is the common aspect of these parties coming together? And that is when I say that, 17 parties coming together for a common agenda. And what is the common agenda? Common agenda is against not just BJP. It's not BJP that we want to, topple. It's not about BJP. It's about how BJP has wronged the country over and over again. Let's start with demonetization. Let's start with what happened during COVID. Let's start with, how poverty, how many millions of people have again been pushed back below the poverty line. Let's talk about the 2 crores of naukri jo unhone promise ki thi, unka kya hua, unemployment. Let's not forget Agniveer, one of the most promised employments of the country, for the rural country, I would say. That has been taken away. So these issues, when we talk about inflation, we talk about the gas cylinder, we talk about petrol pumps. Smriti Irani, I'm glad she's talking. At least I know she's talking. The country can hear her. But because she's silent otherwise. Whether we keep forgetting what minister is she? Is she the anti-Congress minister or anti-Gandhi family minister? Because she doesn't talk about issues. She doesn't talk about issues from her own ministry. She did not speak a word about our wrestlers protesting. She could have just gone there. She's a women welfare minister, women development minister. She could have just gone there, given some sort of solace to those wrestlers protesting out there. They would have gone home. But no, Smriti Irani will choose to be quiet when it is about her ministry. Will speak only when it's Congress or it is about the Gandhis. That is it. You talk about Mr. Amit Shah. Well, he said it's a photo op because that's how he looks at everything else. He looks at everything. The BJP only looks at issues and things as photo ops. That's what Mr. Narendra Modi and the whole party is doing, photo ops. That's all they do. So yes, they will look at this also as a photo op. But let me tell them, it is not a photo op. It is 17 parties. Today, 17 and more will join. Right? And I don't want to, I don't talk about parties who've spoken against this meeting because, again, everybody has a right to have their individual opinions and ideologies, whether they support the BJP or the Congress. But yes, the 17 parties coming together is a big step forward to protect the common vision. Again, is to protect the democracy of the country. The common vision here is to be pro the poor.
Mr.
One very small comment from my side. One very small. Social media management.
Mr. Pathania, only 10 seconds. I have to,
Please. The social media management and media management is excellent. But the only glitch, very small glitch, is that the people of the Germans of India are least enthused. This is the kiss of the death. Let us take it for granted. I'm saying that only when we learn this is the kiss of death for you. And you need to engage. And yes.
Mr. Pathania, kiss of death.
Yes, all the opposition also. For all the opposition, this is a kiss of death for the Congress. This is suicidal for them. They will.
The Congress party has defeated the BJP in Karnataka, and you are saying kiss of death.
Doesn't matter.
Give me a minute. Let me get it.
You need to catch the.
Okay, you're saying this is kiss of death.
Yes, you like the agenda of the opposition.
Sanjay Kapoor, can it be done?
Political and an ethical impulse. You lack a moral, political and an ethical impulse. That's what I'm trying to say.
Okay.
Please.
Sanjay Kapoor, you're a senior journalist. You track politics in this country very closely. I want to ask you very simply, can it be done? I'm just looking at the numbers and we'll put those numbers on our screens as well. The parties that were on the table together in Patna, speaking, talking, negotiating, eating litti chokha, together had 153 seats in the last election. The BJP on its own had 303. If I look at BJP plus, their vote share was 45%, which means it was almost half the vote share of the entire country. Looking at these numbers, I just want to ask you if what the opposition is attempting to do can be done and if the BJP can actually be brought down in 2024.
Thank you, Shreya, for giving me an opportunity after listening to practically everybody possible on the panel. I'm wiser now. The fact is that what the opposition is attempting is something which is very doable. We have seen that in the past, in 1979, if you remember, Congress was formidable and you had the election which was put together. But I think it was also helped quite a bit by a breakup in the Congress party when Jagjeevan Ram and Himbati Nandan Bahuguna crossed over. So the entire mood in the country changed, and suddenly the opposition looked far more formidable than what it started off with. But this time around, if you look at the landscape of this country, you would find that there are large parts which are not under the BJP control. And the recent reverse that the BJP has experienced in Karnataka, I think, is going to make the BJP wiser, and they would not use the kind of language that they're using now to rubbish the opposition. I'm sure even the Prime Minister in the US would be looking more at what is happening back home rather than what he's doing in the US and the outcome it would be in his favor or not. So in my reckoning, there are lessons to be learned from the past and even contemporary politics. In Brazil, for instance, Bolsonaro was absolutely very difficult. He was seen to be similar to Mr. Modi. And then Mr. Lula went around collecting all the parties possible who were opposed to him, and they were ideologically different in some ways. There were 10 of them. And with great amount of purpose and drive and campaigning, Bolsonaro was defeated. Although the voting difference was just about 1% and it was the presidential election. But the mood and the ideology of the ruling dispensation in Brazil was very similar to what you have here. So I think it is doable. And there have been successes that the Congress and the opposition has experienced. The entire South seemingly is not in support of the BJP. There are other pockets also which have shown inclination towards the opposition party. Even Maharashtra, for instance, Bihar, for that matter. So it's a very different reality in comparison to 2014 or 2019. And if you should remember that in 2019, if all the opposition parties put together only 153 seats, they were fighting separately. When they come together, and there is a buzzword which is going around that there will be 450 seats in which there will be combined opposition candidate will be contesting. That's a big number. Even Rahul Gandhi in the US dropped this the same number. So let us see. If that really happens, I think BJP needs to worry.
You know, as far as Mr. Bolsonaro is concerned, he had a habit of doing some pretty crazy things. My point to you is this. Now, let me just speak anecdotally and tell you what people, when you speak to people, at least in North India, Mr. Kapoor, and you live here as well, so I'm fairly certain you are privy to these conversations as well, will tell you, many people I speak to will not necessarily agree with everything that this government does or everything that the BJP does. But everyone seems to be in agreement that Prime Minister Modi is the best man for the job at the moment. And the one question they ask is, if not Modi, then who? And nobody, simply nobody seems to match up. So my question to you is, we are looking at the opposition coming together, but we are looking at the opposition coming together against a man who remains largely popular and has a habit of winning elections on his own muscle.
I'm not very sure whether this kind of myth has a corroboration. If you look at it, time and again, Mr. Modi has been presented as the person who would help the BJP win, whether it was in the state elections, who started off in Delhi long time back, and the BJP got a real pasting. And more recently in Karnataka, who was the person who was going around asking for voters? So Mr. Modi himself, and surely it did not yield the kind of dividends that he was expecting or the party was expecting. In fact, there was a huge gap between what the Congress won and what the BJP got at the end of it. In fact, if they hadn't used their muscle, they would have got far less seats than what they got finally. So the truth is that there is a certain amount of, you can say, wariness that is coming in the BJP. They would be happier that there is a more appeal coming in from other people in the party rather than just one man. And similarly, in the Congress and the opposition, if you look, Rahul Gandhi managed to stitch together a decent coalition when he walked down from one part from north to south. And similarly, if he decides to walk east and west, east to west, there would be, I think, a certain amount of, build up of a movement of sorts in favor of the opposition. So I'm not talking behalf of any party in the sense that what I'm trying to suggest that there is a serious fight which is going to take place in 2024. And that will happen even if the ED, CBI, IT, everybody is unleashed.
I mean, that's what we want, don't we? Who wants a one-sided election? This is a democracy. Everyone should have a fair chance. But Saket Gokhale, the fact is that we now know, we are wiser, and we now know that this country votes very differently in assembly elections and very differently at the national election, during the general election. So while, yes, the Congress party has won Karnataka. Yes, Himachal has been won by Karnataka as well. Fact is that if Himachal or Karnataka vote for the Congress party in the assembly elections, that pattern may not, history tells us, repeat itself when a general election comes along. Is that a bit of a concern as far as opposition unity is concerned? That you're strong at home, but together at the center, maybe not?
See, definitely not. This is this entire myth about people vote differently at the state and Lok Sabha, they want different. Look, at the end of the day, who is the voting population? The people who vote in assembly elections are the same people who vote in the Lok Sabha elections. This whole thing about, what that myth that you just repeated right now, that Mr. Modi is still popular, gets votes. I don't know, during West Bengal elections, Mr. Modi and Mr. Shah, in the middle of a pandemic, put out all their money and did not, left no stone unturned to campaign. And look what happened to the BJP. They came down to 77. Mr. Amit Shah, like he said in Jammu today, was saying that, they're going to cross 200. They came down to 77, or even less than that now. So look, people at the end of the day look for an alternative. Instead of there being 3 opposition alternatives to the people, when there is one joint opposition alternative, people today are frustrated by the BJP. They're frustrated with price rise. They're frustrated with what's happening in our country. When there is one opponent to choose from versus the BJP, the votes are not going to be split between 2 or 3 different parties. And people will then choose the united opposition candidate, which is precisely what today's meeting was the beginning of. And the goal is to work towards what I just said right now.
Okay, we'll leave it there, but maybe I should give the final word to the BJP spokesperson here. I just want to go back to the words of Smriti Irani. And I want to ask you, Mr. Patania, is it fair for a national level leader to be calling the opposition parties that are trying to get together a pack of wolves?
I have not seen the press conference of Smriti Irani, but I stand by whatever I said during the steam show, madam, that this is just a motley mix of political parties, no ideological convergence, no manifesto, no agenda, no program. And I use that, I'll repeat it, agenda-less, purposeless, issue-less opposition trying to cobble up a united
But they are giving it a shot. But they are giving it a shot. Now, you can argue that in 2019 also Chandrababu Naidu had given it a shot. But the fact is that they are giving it a shot. It's only in the beginning. And if the BJP wasn't nervous, it wouldn't have deputed its best spokespersons and their most articulate leaders to come out and attack this quote-unquote unholy alliance, as you're calling it.
This is just a ginger group. This is a ginger group of political parties trying to put up an unholy show before the country. But the Janmanas of the India is united. Keep one thing, the political parties may be over-ambitious, they may be confused, they may be for the respective states as well as the 2 Lok Sabha elections also, but the Janmanas of India has decided. There's a leaderless, this is a leaderless, this is an issueless, this is an agenda.
Already decided.
Purposeless vote. This is a leader.
We'll watch.
Nothing.
We will see. We'll see. All I'll say is we'll see. Time will tell. It's a cliche, but I have to say it here. Time will tell. Yes, Mr. Patania, one last line, and then we are wrapping the show.
Same wine, but a new bottle. Last comment to it. It is the same wine in 2014, 2019. The bottle is new. This is this Mahagathbandhan, what they're calling it as. Thank you very much.
Okay. Old wine, new bottle is what you're calling it. We leave it there for the moment. Mr. Patania, good to have you on the show. Swati, thanks for coming. Mr. Kapoor, thank you. And Saket Gokhale, good to have you on the show as well. Thank you all for joining us. Now, Mr. Lalu Prasad Yadav was in attendance today, looking slightly fitter than what he has in many, many days now. He is, of course, one of the most colorful characters in Indian politics, and he did manage to embarrass, I think, Rahul Gandhi just a bit, dishing out some marriage advice to Rahul Gandhi. Listen in.
बात तो हम लोग का सलाह माने नहीं दिया नहीं किया शादी कर लेना चाहिए था और अभी भी समय गया बीता नहीं है। शादी करिए और हम लोग बाराती चलें और शादी करिए, बात मानिए। आपकी मम्मी हमको बोलती हाँ एकदम पक्का करना पड़ेगा। मम्मी आपकी बोलती थी कि आप हमारा बात नहीं मानता, शादी करवाइए आप। अच्छा
Things single people have to hear. Lord, save us all. On that note, I'm slipping into a quick break on the show. There's much more coming up on the other side. Do stay with us.